A week? Is that what happens here? Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivardhari Jasoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Jasoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Sisi Radha Madhava ki Sisi Radha Giridhari Jayo Mishnupad Paramahamsa Paribrajika Jaja Shodhara Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Sabhai Charanara Vinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jayo Mishnupad Paramahamsa Paribrajika Jaja Shodhara Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Gauri Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Samveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Go Premanandi all glories to the assembled devotees all glories assembled devotees all glories assembled devotees all glories Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga Does anyone have a phone device? Okay. Oh, yes. I got the book. This is This is way different. Okay, 15. It's text 7, correct? Wait, this is off. Okay, so we're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th Canto, Chapter 15, Instructions for Civilized Human Beings. If you don't consider yourself civilized, you can leave right now, because it won't do any good. Or if you want to become civilized, stay. Yeah, I'm staying for that reason myself. Excuse me. This kirtan was good.
Was it 7 or 8?
7. You finished with 6, the purport about the Mayavadis. We'll do 7 chant, but we're going to be reading 7, 8, and then 9 as a purport. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Na Dadyad Amisham Shraddhe Na Chadyad Dharma Tattvavit Muni Anai Syat Para Pritir Yata Na Pashuhimsaya Na Dadyad Amisham Shadi Na Chadyad Dharma Tadvavit Munyanai Syat Para Pritir Yatana Pashuhimsaya Nadadyat Amisham Shadhi Nachadyad Dharma Tattvavit Munyanai Syat Para Pritir Yatana Pashuhimsaya. Anyone like to chant? Nadadyadamisham shadi Nachadya dharma tattvavit Munyanyai syat para pritir Yatana pashuhimsaya Nadadyad amisham shraddhe Nachadya dharma tadvavit Munyanyai satpara putir Yatana pashuhimsaya Nadadyad amisham shraddhe Nachadya dharma tadvavit Munyanyai satpara pritir Yatana pashuhimsaya. Word for word. Na, never. Dadyat, should offer. Amisham, meat, fish, eggs, and so on. Shraddhe, in the performance of the Shraddh ceremony. Okay. Na, nor. Cha, also. Dadyat, one should eat personally. Dharma tattvavit, one who is actually learned in regard to religious principles. Muni annai, by preparations made with ghee for saintly persons. Syat, should be. Para, first class. Pritihi, satisfaction. Yata, for the forefathers and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Na, not. Pashu himsaya, by killing animals unnecessarily. Translation. A person fully aware of religious principles should never offer anything like meat, eggs, or fish in the Shraddha ceremony. And even if one is a Kshatriya, he himself should not eat such things. When suitable food prepared with ghee is offered to saintly persons, the function is pleasing to the forefathers and the Supreme Lord, who is never pleased when animals are killed in the name of sacrifice. So sometimes you come across this. I have. Mostly Bengalis, sometimes Nepalis. They also want a fish or something there because their idea is that whatever that person liked the most, that's what you're going to prepare. So I tell them, that's fine, but I'm not coming. So what they usually do is, after I'm gone, they break out the Amisham. So, but it says here, you should never do that. Yeah, the whole idea is that's a ceremony which is supposed to elevate the soul. And they want to make sure he goes to hell forever. They got it all backwards. So, going on to text 8. Okay. Nai tadrisha paro dharmo nrinam shad dharmam ichatam nyaso dandasya bhuteshu manovak kaya jasya yaha. Persons who want to advance in superior religion are advised to give up all envy of other living entities, whether in relationship to the body, words, or mind. There is no religion superior to this. Text 9. Eke karma-yajña jnanino yajña vittamaha atma samyamane niha juvati jnanadipate. Translation. Because of an awakening of spiritual knowledge, those who are intelligent in regard to sacrifice, who are actually aware of religious principles and are free from material desires, control the self in the fire of spiritual knowledge or knowledge of the absolute truth. They may give up the process of ritualistic ceremonies. Purport. People are generally very much interested in karma-kanda ritualistic ceremonies for elevation to the higher planetary systems, but when one awakens his spiritual knowledge, he becomes uninterested in such elevation and engages himself fully in jnana-yajña, to find the objective of life. The objective of life is to stop completely the miseries of birth and death and to return home back to Godhead. When one cultivates knowledge for this purpose, he is considered to be on a higher platform than one engaged in karma-kanda or fruitive activities. Karma-yajña or fruitive activities. Om Gyan Timarandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshur Unminitam Ninatais Sri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhotale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakti Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Vanchakalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Let me drink some more water here. Excuse me. So by your good wishes, blessings, I'll try to say a few things. Thank you. It's interesting, this text 8. I was just performing a wedding down in San Miguel de Allende, and there's a gentleman I've known for quite years, Rano Beer. He's a very, very talented sitar player. He came on down for the wedding also. Musician, sitar player, and so on. And we just, he tapped me on the shoulder. We're at the buffet together for breakfast, for fruit and so on. And he said, sit with me. So we're just talking about different things, Bhagavad Gita and this and that. And he said, if you study all the religions of the world, the one common thread in all religions is Jiva Doi. being compassionate to others. We had a whole long discussion about that, what is compassion and so on, but it says here in text 8, persons who want to advance in superior religion are advised to give up all envy of other living entities, whether in relationship to the body, word, or minds. There is no religion superior to this. So being kind and compassionate to all living entities, that's part of superior religion, because in the previous verse it was saying how these foolish people will go as far as to offer meat, eggs, fish in the Shraddha ceremony. Why? So that's the point. It's like, this is the alternative here is very nice. This is, what is it here? Muni Anai. Preparations made with ghee that are very pleasing to saintly persons. Does everyone here like preparations made with ghee? Quite tasty. That's mode of goodness. So now this text 9, it's saying that, Prabhupada's bringing up the point, yes, it's understood. Most people in this world are interested in what is known as karma kanda or karma-yajña, because they want to enjoy in this material world. The desire, you're not here unless you want to enjoy in the material world, right? Why would we be here unless we're trying to enjoy? I hope you enjoy Seattle. Hare Krishna Prabhu. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Have a safe journey. Hare Krishna. Everyone, in fact, sometimes people sign off. Enjoy. Right? Enjoy. In their email, like, enjoy. So everyone's trying to enjoy. Everyone's trying to be happy. And actually, we agree with that. But where is happiness to be found? Where is happiness to be found? Encouraging someone or wishing someone enjoyment in this material world, it's kind of like someone's driving off a cliff and you say, enjoy. It's like, or running into a burning house, enjoy. It's like, what are you talking about? Well, what else are you going to enjoy? So it's a catastrophe. Is that the word? It's a catastrophe. The material world is a catastrophe. What's that other word? Conflagration? Conflagration? Conflagration means a big fire or something. Yeah. So enjoy. Have a good time. So that's what they're wishing you. You have a good time. Or someone just got sentenced to 20 years in prison. Have a good time. Enjoy. It's like, I don't think so. But why is everyone so convinced that they can be happy in this material world? I think you might have brought this up in yesterday's class or recently, quoting that verse from the Bhagavad Gita about so many verses there that, what is that one? They think they're the doer, but their knowledge is stolen. What is that one? Prakriti kriyamanani gunai karamani sarvas ahankara vimudatma kartamiti manyate. Being bewildered by false ego, I think I am the doer, and I'm just going to, make all these plans. So that's why. Okay? Bewildered by false ego, one thinks I am the doer, which means in this material world, I am the enjoyer. That's the problem. Our best friend, our false ego. The one who's got the hand around her shoulder. Hey, listen to me. Like that. I've been with you since you came in the material world. I've never steered you wrong, have I? Yes, like every single lifetime you steered me wrong. But, sometimes people complain about relationships. They go, oh, she doesn't know how to pick a husband or boyfriend, and he gets the wrong girls all the time, and maybe been through 5 marriages. They just can't figure out the abusive relationships, manipulative relationships, and you wonder why in the world they really pick them bad. I've known people like that. Maybe you've known people like that. You say, what's going on here? One relationship after the next is just like so self-defeating, and they don't know how to pick a good. So it's kind of like that for our best friend. Yeah, that's good. That's good. It's going for a body tomorrow, so it's okay. Ramapati said he's got a funeral, so it's a send-off for Mr. Patel, like that. So we don't know how to pick our friends. That's the point I'm trying to make. False ego, we're thinking, oh, you're such a great friend to me. But it's actually the worst friend. It's not a friend. The greatest enemy is our false ego. And because of that, prakriti, what is that? Karta miti manyate. I'm the doer, and I'm the enjoyer. The material world is a place of karma, which means I'm trying to enjoy. I'm doing things to enjoy. I'm doing things to enjoy. So pretty much 99.9% of everyone in this material world, that's the mentality, because they have false ego helping them out. But it says here, sometimes we awaken our spiritual knowledge, and because being referred to here is that this karma-yajña or karma-kanda section of the Vedas, it's not vikarma, it's very pious. It's the instructions. Okay, you want to enjoy the material world, I'll tell you how to enjoy. Because Krishna set the whole thing up, he can tell you how to really enjoy this material world, how to go to that's where it starts, in the heavenly planets. If you want to have a good time, the earthly planets, not, let alone the hellish planets. Hellish planets is suffering from day one. Middle planets, it's a mix. And of course, during Kali Yuga, the mix is like that side, not so good. It gets worse and worse. Heavenly planets, it's pretty good. It's very, very good. Just like, what's a bad neighborhood to live in San Diego? Pacific Beach. No. There's a Hare Krishna temple in Pacific Beach. It's the best place. Like East San Diego or something like that. Or there's some rough neighborhoods, okay? But you can also live in what is that? Fairbanks Ranch or La Jolla, or places like that, gated communities. They don't have homes there. They have mansions. They live in mansions, So that's where nice living begins. That's wonderful. Instead of being in a little hovel or, apartment somewhere. And I remember once I had to, for a living, I was painting with my brother. My younger brother lived here in San Diego. I had to painting houses and apartments and so on, when things kind of fell apart, 86. So that's a history. And he's nice. He was real nice. He painted with Prabhupada Das for many years. I introduced him to Prabhupada Das, who's a painter, and they painted together. So I painted also for some time. I remember going to one apartment, and he said, "You got to patch that wall there. There's all these holes. Someone would come in with a gun." And shot up right above the couch. So I don't know who was sitting on the couch, but there's neighborhoods like that. So he said, make sure you patch up the bullet holes pretty good, and then we'll just go ahead and paint the place. So there are neighborhoods like that. Not very nice. So really, we don't live in a very good neighborhood, but the Maya is so strong that we think whatever, but this is a verse in the Bhagavatam, maybe 3rd canto, whatever body you're in, you think it's okay, it's nice, it's enjoyable. Even a hellish body. What's a hellish body? Pick one species you think is pretty hellish. Yeah, just anything. A caterpillar, like that. Okay. Hog. Yeah, but what? That's right. That's the point we're making. We're just thinking about bats. Bats? They hang upside down. They pass through their mouth. Imagine that. Goes in and comes out the same place. It's like, yeah. So, but they're thinking, hey, this is great. Just hanging around this cave. It's nice and dark, and then you go. Okay, Hare Krishna. Then at night, the fun begins. They fly, and they eat bugs. And every night they eat at least 1 to 3 times their weight in bugs. Fly around. They open their mouth. So how would you like a body like that? But the bat is thinking, this is fantastic. The hog is thinking, I'm in hog heaven. Like that. The caterpillar, whatever body we have, somehow or other, we think, this is very nice. Very nice. That's the deluding potency of Maya. But still putting all that aside, and the heavenly planets in this material world, in comparison, it's very nice up there. Very nice up there.
Before you conclude the class, you have to tell us what happens when you fall.
Oh yeah, you mentioned that yesterday about that. Because it says in the Vedas, no one dies in heaven. You don't die. So you don't die Because what it is, your time of death comes, all of a sudden you start falling, and you die as you fall down to the middle planetary systems, and you cry, and your body is consumed by rakshasas, and then the tears come with the soul in it, into the, Prabhupada says that, in the rain, and in the grains and so on, but that's what happens. No one dies in heaven, because you're falling, and that's when you're dying, and the rakshasas eat your body. No, I'll be there for 10,000 years having a good time. Everyone's got to go somehow. That's what they all say. You got to die somehow. Let's have a good time. So that's the deluding potency. So also in the Vedas, if you look at all the Vedic literatures, I don't know the exact number. I heard one Maharaj give a class on this. How much of the Vedas, what percentage is karma kanda, what percentage is jnana kanda, and what percentage is upasana kanda or bhakti? And it's something like 70-80% of all the Vedic literatures is karma kanda, because most people are interested, and that's what they want. They want to go to Swargaloka. And then you got a smaller sliver is jnana kanda, people are frustrated, and then the smallest sliver is actually bhakti, or devotional service. It's rarely understood, only by great souls. That's what it is. You write according to your audience. But the way the Vedic literatures, Vedic culture is set up is, okay, by doing this, you accept that there is a purpose, a creator, a person behind this material world. You simply follow those directions and you go to heaven. It starts, at least you're not independent, you're not sinful, so that you get on that path. And in due course of time, one becomes frustrated, maybe going up and down a few times. One becomes frustrated. But Prabhupada's talking in the purport here about the objective of life is to completely stop the miseries of birth and death and return home back to Godhead. When one cultivates knowledge for this purpose, he's considered on a higher platform than those engaged in karma-yajña or fruitive activities. So there is a difference. Sometimes people say, how do you know your religion's better than this religion or this or that? Well, you just divide it. What's karma kanda, what's jnana kanda, and what's bhakti? And you'll actually find that in most religions. Some religions, they're impersonalism and so on, there's no bhakti, but still, like Christianity or Islam or whatever, most of them are interested in karma kanda. Then you got some who are renouncing this world, then you got those who are interested in the love of God. So you'll find that in all religions. And the best is going back home, back to Godhead, becoming free from the cycle of birth and death. So we're doing on time here. Now this karma kanda, ritualistic ceremonies, because it was being discussed in the previous verses and in this verse, not being very, very intelligent. There's one chapter in the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam, or the Krishna book, that is specifically chosen and spoken about because it demonstrates the futility of being very, very careful in following the karma kanda section of the Vedas. Do you know which story that is? Krishna book, 10th canto. Do you know who that is? Maharaj Nriga. And so I was going to read a little bit from that if I can, a few paragraphs where he comes to his does everyone know the story already? Everyone knows the story? No? Okay. So, let's see. Well, it turns out the story begins in Dwarka. Some of Krishna's sons were out playing around and they looked in this dry well and there's this huge lizard in there. And they wanted to help it, stuck in a well, and they tried to they couldn't get it. Someone got Krishna, and Krishna lifted the lizard out, and just by the touch of his hand, the lizard turned into a beautiful demigod-looking person. Krishna said, well, what happened to you? Of course, he knew what happened to him, but then he was standing there, and he told him his story, how he landed up being a lizard in that well. So it says the Maharaj, King Nriga proceeded to narrate the history of his degradation caused by his karma kanda activities. Well, wait a second, he's performing karma kanda. Isn't he supposed to go to heaven? What's he doing in a miserable body as a lizard? And he said that he had been very charitably disposed and had given away so many cows that the total was equal to the number of particles of dust on the earth. Now, he might have been exaggerating a little bit, but the point is he gave a lot of cows in charity. Okay, so not just dust particles, but also stars in the sky or drops of water in a rainfall. So if you ever want to tell someone you're giving a lot of something, you want a lot of something, you can use these three things. As many particles of dust, as many stars in the sky, or how many drops of rainfall. Okay, so. And it says here, according to the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies, if you're very charitably disposed and you're giving charity, especially to Brahmins, you're going to go to Swargaloka, you're going to go to heaven. And then what happened was that he gave a whole bunch of cows in charity. One cow wandered away from that Brahmin back into his pasturing grounds. And he gave it to another Brahmin. This is where the problem started. And the first Brahmin said, wait a second. Now, it's kind of hard to tell cows apart. If you think about it, you look at the cows, they all got the splotches and all that. But this one Brahmin said, I recognize that cow. The king gave me that cow just last week. He said, no, the king gave it to me this week. He said, no, the king gave it. So the Brahmins had to start fighting with each other over the cow. And it came to the king's attention, because they brought it to his attention. Wait a second, didn't you give this to me last week? Yeah, well, why'd you give it to me this week if you gave it to him last week? And the king was trying to apologize. It's not my fault. You know, whoever's in charge of taking care of my cows was negligent or something and wandered back in. I'm so sorry. I'll tell you what I'll do for you. Here. Let me see where's the number in here.
64.
For arguing. Okay, here it is. When both Brahmanas charged the king with the same complaint, he was simply puzzled as to how it happened. Therefore, with great humility, the king offered each of them 100,000 cows in exchange for the one cow that was causing the fight between them. He prayed to them that he was their servant and that there had been some mistake. Thus, in order to rectify it, he prayed that they would be very kind upon him and accept his offer in exchange for the cow. That seems more than reasonable, doesn't it?
Yes.
Okay, there we go. But, and then Prabhupada talks about a Brahman's property is called Brahma Swa, and according to Manu's law, it cannot be acquired even by the government. But both Brahmins, however, insisted that the cow was theirs and could not be taken back under any condition. Neither of them agreed to the exchange for 100,000 cows. So they're pretty much determined. Yeah. Thus, disagreeing with the king's proposal, the two Brahmins left the place in anger, thinking that their lawful possession had been usurped. So he's really concerned because is it this? I think it's this story, isn't it? In this purport or section where Prabhupada talks about the property of Brahmins, or is that another story? This one here about it's.
Talking to the young princess.
Okay. Yes, he's giving more. Yeah, the moral of the story about near the end of it. So, but what happens is that that's the only thing apparently the king ever did wrong as far as his following the religious path of karma kanda, wanting to go to heaven and so on. So he passes away, and he gets to Yamaraj, and Yamaraj says, "You've given more cows than there are dust particles, but you did something wrong. You have to suffer for it. What do you want to do first? Get the good results and go to heaven for practically ever? Or do you want to get your bad karma first and just get that out of the way? Or wait, what do you want to do?" He's given a choice. And the king said, well, since I'm going to be in heaven a long, long, long time, why don't I just take the bad karma first? That was his decision. So Yamar said, okay, clicked his finger, and he landed up as this lizard. and a miserable body. So, and then of course, he was delivered by Krishna. So on one hand, it's not a curse at all. It was actually better than going to heaven. He was right to get the darshan of Krishna, the touch Krishna's hand, and purified. So this particular pastime, a bunch of things come up. We don't have time to get into too much. But, because sometimes the question is, why were the Brahmins, well, we can actually put this out here if you like. Dravida, maybe you can answer. I've heard this asked of different senior devotees. Why were the Brahmins acting like that? Aren't Brahmins supposed to be self-satisfied and peaceful and, and they each offered 100,000 more cows, but they wouldn't take it. They were they were controlled by anger. So what's going on here? Does anyone have an explanation? What's going on? Why were the Brahmins acting that way if they're qualified Brahmins?
Krishna wants to give lesson.
As a lesson, that's a big. I think so. I think so. It's to teach us a lesson. Many lessons. The boys are being, Krishna's telling about the Brahmin's property, and you got to be very, very careful. And the whole story, the reason I brought it up is how unsure karma kanda can be. And that's karma kanda in the Vedas. Our idea of being pious these days is buying someone a hamburger. Something like that. That's, I bought him a hamburger. Just like you get these things out in the mail sometimes. There's an organization, usually at Christmas you get it, and what they do is you give a donation and they buy like cows and goats and chickens for people around the world to raise and slaughter. Their idea of how to solve the hunger problem. I forget what it's called. And $10 will buy 5 chickens, or $20 will buy a cow. It's like, Hare Krishna. So their idea of piety, we're not talking about that, we're talking about in the Vedas, very strictly following, worshiping the demigods, being very pious, giving in charity. That's what we discussed in the previous, this middle verse. That is one of the greatest qualities of any bona fide religion, is being kind and compassionate to others and trying to relieve the suffering of others. Like that. So, following all these things, you'll be elevated to the heavenly planets. And the king, he did everything he possibly could, but one little thing. And then you can say, someone could say it wasn't his fault. Someone could say it was, because he hired someone who wasn't taking care of his cows properly.
I've heard of that organization.
Yeah, it's called Ox something. Or
Called Godhead.
Godhead?
Give a donation and go to hell.
Godhead. He trumped me this morning on jokes, right? He trumped me. That was a good one. Hare Krishna Prabhu. I think it's Ox something or other, but anyways. So that's the reason we brought it up. Even someone, devotional service is a lot easier and guaranteed, So someone says, I'm very, very pious and this and that, but still, anything can happen. Anything can happen. And that's if you're following according to the Vedas. Who's following according to the Vedas? These people that think they're worshiping the demigods, they're not worshiping it. Once a month they do a little puja and little flowers in front of Ganesh or something like that. No, if you want to go to Chandraloka, if you want to go to, Indra's planet, there's a very, very difficult process, karma kanda, worshiping these demigods, Just like if you want a favor from someone and once a year you go, hey, here's $5. It's like, it's every single day. You want to, showing how devoted you are and all these different rules and regulations. Then the demigod, you'll go to those planets, but it's not a casual thing at all. So the king was very, very serious, but look what happened to him. One little mistake, and he lands up like that. So. That's a story that's brought up to teach us that lesson, how it's not a sure path at all. It's not a sure path. And even if you do go to heaven, you quoted it yesterday, Kshine punya marchalokam bishanti. When your piety runs out, it's like gas in a car. Then you fall, or an airplane actually. That'd be a better example, right? And then, so that's what happens. It runs out and you got to come back down. You got to fill up the tank again and go up and just go over and over and over again. But in Krishna consciousness, we're just steadily going back home, back to Godhead. And whatever we gain is never lost. Swalpam punya, what is that?
Yeah. No, nehavitamanassoti.
Prachavayo navijate. Swalpam asya dharmasya chayate mahato bhayat. The greatest fear is falling down. And you're safe from a little bit of devotional service, and it's never lost. It's never, ever lost. So, and it just keeps building and building and building, and you're going back home, back to Godhead, where life's eternal, full of bliss and knowledge, and there's someone there. There's someone who's no longer there with you. You know who that is? Remember that in the beginning of the class, person's got his arm around you. False ego. You leave him at the door. Like that. Sorry, I'm out of here. Leave false ego at the door. Okay. Bye. Okay, we can end here. Any questions or comments?
Or a comment, you can categorize it each way. The thing that puzzles me about that Mriga pastime is these Brahmins. I mean, really? You know? I think, aren't they supposed to be tolerant and austere and all this? Or that because of all of the gifts of all the cows, they became a little, materialistic and corrupted? It doesn't sound like what are they, Kali Yuga Brahmins or something?
Right.
And make a big deal out of this one cow. And he explained it was just an accident. It wasn't intentional. And he offered 100,000 cows. So I guess it was just they took umbrage,
Yes.
And it seemed out of character. Maybe these Kali Yuga cows or some Brahmins.
Yes.
I was always puzzled when I first read that. Well, that seems extreme.
Well, Virabhadra, I asked a question earlier in class, and he brought up that one safe understanding of this is just Krishna arranged the pastime to teach us a lesson, and they were bewildered. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe very nice Brahmins, but just like Arjuna was bewildered, these Brahmins got all bewildered by all of that, just so this pastime could take place. Maybe they were as out of character for them. Maybe they had a bad day or something, a bad day at the yajña, like that, all frustrated or something, and they just took it out on the king. I don't know. But we know for sure Krishna arranged this pastime to teach a lot of lessons, as he does in all his pastimes. So, like that. So, any other questions or comments? Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you for the class. I was wondering, what does it mean, like, to fall down? Since we still have, like, what we acquire in this pad is still there. Is that still there, like, even though if we fall down? Like, is there the devotion and the knowledge and everything, like, even though you fall down, do you still have that?
Okay, that's a very good question as far as falling down from the path. And the statement that it's never lost. It's never lost, but it can become covered. It can be covered. If one, due to offenses, that's usually the big one. Due to aparads, offending devotees or the deities or the holy name, one has trouble in their devotional service and gives up the practice for some time or whatever. It just means everything's covered. It's on hold. It's on hold for some time. But it's actually not lost. And sometimes we even see this in our modern day Krishna conscious movement. Sometimes devotees will fall away, we'll use that expression, for many years, even decades, and all of a sudden they come back. And they're doing very, very nicely. Almost like you start where you left off, but it's covered. Krishna says, Shmitir Jnanam Apohanam Cha. From me comes knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. So if you need to forget Krishna for a while, Krishna will help you with that. It's just covered. But all of a sudden, something may come and you want to remember Krishna. So Krishna says, okay, I'll just pull the curtain for you. Come on back. So Krishna's in the heart, and those assets are never, ever lost. They're just covered. They can be covered really heavily. One has to be very careful. It could take lifetimes before they manifest again. And if something's covered, it's almost as if it's not there. It is there, but for all practical purposes, it's not. Right? Just like a buried treasure.
Well, the understanding is that the knowledge is always there.
Right.
Covered for eons.
Yeah.
That's why the chanting is the life and soul of transcendental knowledge. Because it's already there.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, vidyavadu jivanam, what does that mean? And you're just chanting Hare Krishna, and where does the knowledge come from? It's already there, and you've forgotten. That's the whole point. It was covered. But the holy name purifies the heart, and gradually, and with the association, you're hearing also. So suddenly, yeah, this sounds completely right.
Yes, yeah. So that principle is there. Putting aside someone having difficulty in their spiritual life, even someone who's just endeavoring and going very nicely on the path, it's a gradual process of uncovering the full gamut of consciousness, of Krishna consciousness, all the way up to pure devotional service. So it's a question of uncovering Krishna's, what is that? Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem Sabyu Kabunai. So pure devotional, nitya, the perfection of Krishna consciousness in the heart of every living entity, just a matter of uncovering it, beginning with the process of hearing, of chanting, hearing and chanting. So that's what's happening. So it's all, but someone may say, I'm going to stop. Then it gets covered, and then you start again. Like that. And someone will say, okay, well, that's fine. One person probably made that point. Sooner or later, everyone goes back to Godhead. So thinking themselves very intelligent, they said, well, okay, I'll just go back when I want to go back. And Prabhupada says, it's just a matter of how much you want to suffer. That's all it is. Well, I'll go back next lifetime, or the one after that, or 10 after that, or whatever. Prabhupada said, okay, that's okay. It's just, the question is, how much do you want to suffer? Prabhupada asked the person. That's all, that's the only question. You go back now, you put an end to the whole thing. You wait 5 years, 10 years, 5 lifetimes, 1,000 lifetimes. It's just a matter of how much you want to suffer, that's all. So that's the big question that should keep you up at night. How much do I want to suffer? How much do I want to suffer? How much do I want to suffer? Right? So should we end here? Is there one more question or something? How's breakfast? Is it ready? It is. Okay, so we should probably end.
Hare Krishna, thank you. I want to continue this question that we know that in 6th chapter, Krishna said that if person not finish his path, he was born in Muchi and like in opulence family or Brahmins. Right. And my question is, what your experience? How, and also you mentioned that people, when how to say, they have opulence and then become jnani. It's like next step. Mm-hmm. And this path to when we frustrated in this world, then we become jnani, and then next. And what is your experience? Maybe how many these opulent people you met, which change their mind that I need to give up everything and become jnani or bhakta.
Okay, well, there's two ways. You're talking about learning a lesson in life. That material opulence is frustrating. There's two ways to learn in life. One is by good instruction, and one is by bitter experience. So, and that's really up to everyone. So, better to learn by good experience, by good instruction. But if you can't, then the very nature of this material world is to become frustrated. And the bigger they are, the harder they fall. You've heard that expression? The bigger they are, the harder they fall. These people, the more and more we increase our material situation, then we fall harder. Everything's taken away, become more attachments and so on. That's why devotees, Prabhupada told one devotee, keep your program simple. He wrote him in a letter. Keep your program simple, You complicate, big, and then the whole thing crashes. And the example is given just like during the Depression in this country, the first one back, people were jumping out of windows down there in Wall Street and whatever because they lost everything. The bankers and all that, just everything was gone, and they felt completely helpless and hopeless, and they killed themselves. I mean, just money. It's money. Yes. Yes. They couldn't take it. They killed themselves like that. So it actually was a member. So that Prabhupada's talking is actually a member of our movement. And Prabhupada's saying he killed himself because he lost everything. And so, anyways, you can learn by bitter experience, but better to learn by hearing. And that's why we're hearing. Always be hearing from Krishna and Krishna's devotees.
Question is, what you experience, how many people you met which have this...
Changed? Not many. Not many. They're on the bitter experience road. Like that. But we'll see. Give them time. You never know. Sooner or later something happens. Something happens, and they have Prabhupada's books. They're like fire extinguishers. They're just there. Something happens, and then they need it. They take shelter. So.
One final comment on this famous verse you quoted, Nehabrikamanashosti, Pratyavayanavidade Svabhamabhisidam Trayate Mahato Bayat. Now, the way it appears in the book is the most dangerous type of fear, which is what Prabhupada typed, because that's all typed in the second chapter. But whenever he spoke on this, and he quoted it quite often, he always mentioned how it protects you from the greatest danger. And if you look up Bhaya, of course, Bhaya is fear, but it also means danger.
Okay.
So hopefully, if they listen to me, it's be fearful danger, the most fearful type of danger.
Right. Which is going down, Adho. So on that happy note, we can end class. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.